and I'm also currently the chapter's treasurer. Tonight, we'll be hearing from Ms. Vivica Fox, who will be asked questions by our moderator, Nia Gibson. But before we get into that, I'd first like to say that we recognize that it's very important for us as men to speak with women and to amplify their voices. And we know that this is often not done, and that we ourselves are also we're guilty of failing to do this. And we know that women sacrifice so much for us as men, and so it's also important for us to have their backs as well. But that being said, we like to use this event as a way to amplify women's voices and to hear from them as well. But that being said, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Nia Gibson. Nia Gibson is an aspiring sports broadcast journalist from Queens, New York, and a recent graduate of Syracuse University from both undergrad and Newhouse School of Public Communications for her master's. She currently works at Overtime as a digital content associate for their OT app, covering all things from sports to music. And in the past, she's moderated our Women of Distinction before, when we brought Dre and Michelle. But Dre, Breaking the Glass Ceiling will be her first time moderating a virtual event in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic. But everyone, please welcome Nia Gibson.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming out. I'm going to introduce our lovely guest this evening, Ms. Biblica Fox. She is an American actress and television producer. She is best known for her roles in the films Independence Day, Set It Off, one of my personal favorites, Soul Food, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, and Kill Bill Volume 1. Fox, who is of African American and Native American descent, was born in South Bend, Indiana, the daughter of Everlina and William Fox, and a graduate of Arlington High School in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Golden West College in California with an associate art degree in social sciences. While in California, she started acting professionally, first on soap operas such as Generations, Days of Our Lives, and The Young and the Restless. She was cast as Emily Franklin in the pilot episode of ABC's Living Dolls, a spinoff of the sitcom Who's the Boss. But later on, another role saw her as Patti LaBelle's fashion designer daughter, Charis Chamberlain, sorry, on the NBC TV series Out All Night. She also appeared on Jazz's sisters on the hit show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and on Beverly Hills 90210. She got her first break in film in two 1996 movies, Independence Day and Set It Off. From 2004 to 2006, Fox starred in and co-produced the Lifetime Network drama series Missing. Fox was a judge on the WB's talent show The Starlet. She also participated in the third seasons of ABC's hit television show Dancing with the Stars. In September of 2007, she appeared in the sixth season of HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm as a mother of a family displaced by a hurricane and taken in by Larry and Cheryl. Then on October 1st, she appeared in an episode of the show The Game. In August 2008, she filmed Shark City in Toronto. Fox also hosted her own VH1 reality TV series entitled Glam God in 2008. In 2009, Fox served as celebrity spokesperson for the newly revamped Psychic Friends Network. She stars in the stage play starring in play. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Fox was one of TV Guide's Network's red carpet correspondents for the 86th Academy Awards show, which was held March 7, 2010. So with all that being said, obviously her resume, obviously she has an extensive resume. So please help me in welcoming Miss Biblica Fox.
Girl, you went all the way back. You could have just said currently, you should have said Set It Off. You can play that game, Empire.
We have some 2000 babies in here who don't know nothing about that.
That's true.
So we gotta remind them, refresh their head a little bit.
How long I've been doing this, right?
Mm-hmm. So they can get an idea of who exactly you are.
I've had
you're nothing to play with.
Man, I've had a very blessed career. I really have. And it just seems like, usually when Hollywood puts women out to pasture, because that's normally when I first got into the business, women, once they turned 35 and above, even 40. It was like your career was just over. And it's changed so much in the last 5 to 10 years. Girl power is so alive and well in the world, and in Hollywood as well too.
I can imagine, and I can only imagine how challenging that would be, which would bring me into my first question. Just to stay on brand, the name of this event is called Breaking the Glass Ceiling. And
Yeah.
obviously, depending on your circumstances and challenges that you may encounter in life, one glass ceiling can look different from the next. So I want to know what yours looks like, if you don't mind getting into that.
What does my glass ceiling look like?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you 30 years ago when I first started in show business, we were told that we couldn't lead television shows, that we wouldn't get the ratings. We were told that we couldn't star in movies because we had no international appeal and that we wouldn't sell internationally and overseas. And to take that and to always feel like you had to downplay your beauty, your talent, who you were, what you represented was difficult at times, especially when you would see others with less talent than yourself going on to get accolades and experiences and monetary gains, that you kind of go, well, what about me? I'm just as talented. The reason why you're seeing the glass ceiling, as I said, in the last 5 years being absolutely shattered, is because you are seeing women in more power positions. We are producing, we are directing, we are having our own production companies, Chandraland, our own magazines. And that is because our audience has let us know that we're there for you and we're supporting you. And that is why now you're seeing the success of Empire, How to Get Away with Murder, Chandraland, Grey's Anatomy. And that's because literally it's because our fan and those who kept fighting and kept saying, you cannot pigeonhole us. And you can't tell a woman that once she reaches a certain age that she no longer has value, which we were told many, many, many times. And you just had to, take the fight and just keep on going forward and plugging along.
Is there anything that you did personally to shatter that glass ceiling that you were just mentioning?
Yes. I learned to build myself a dream squad. And my dream squad consists of people that are loyal to me, that have literally been working with me for over 20 years. I am a Leo, a very proud Leo. And yes, okay, summer baby. So I built myself a dream squad. And my dream squad consists of my business partner, Lita Richardson, who brought me my hair collection, the Biblica Fox hair collection, that when I started the Biblica Fox hair collection 10 years ago, I got teased. They said when the checks stopped coming in, now she's selling wigs, having no idea that myself and my business partner, Lita Richardson, did our homework. We found out that the hair business was $1 billion a year franchise that guess who spends a whole lot of money on? African-American women. So, I had those times where it was like I was teased about making choices that others didn't see the big picture. They looked here and thought that, oh, you're just a pretty girl with a nice body, that everybody wants to see who you're dating, that they didn't know that I was a good businesswoman as well, too. My agent, Sheila Leger, the main reason why I'm here tonight, who we stuck together, her agency basically kind of dumped her and thought that I would stay with them. I said, no, we're going to go start our own agency. And now we're flourishing and we're doing great. We're producing films. We're now on our 20th film for the Lifetime Network. We have a franchise called The So Wrong It's Right, that at first, when I started that, I got teased about that too. Oh my gosh, now she's doing movies on Lifetime. People are not going to always get your vision. And I tell people, I'm not trying to have a moment, I'm trying to have a career. And a career happens over time that goes through many, many chapters. My publicist, BJ Coleman, that's gotten me on tons of red carpets. He made me an author. I didn't see myself as an author. And now I have a book out, Every Day I'm Hustling, which then led to my podcast, Hustling with Biblica A. Fox, and I've been able to interview people from all walks of lives, from Beyonce's mom to Johnny Gill to Mary Wilson, Kim Whitley, Lisa Ray McCoy, my co-stars from all of my movies. Like this chapter that I'm having, being a very proud woman in my 50s, I didn't see coming. But the reason why it's happening is because I built myself a loyal dream squad.
Yeah, they always say it takes a village, right?
Okay, and I got one. I do.
You mentioned just now that some people would tease you, or they just wasn't able to see your vision. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like as women, a big portion of our struggles involves picking our battles. And it's a line that's kind of hard not to tippy toe on from time to time,
Okay.
because you want to be respected, but you also don't want to get labeled that angry Black woman.
Yes.
So the stereotypes placed against us are just so harsh. So I would love to know, what advice would you offer young women who may be conflicted with this, myself included?
Yes, to my young sisters out there, never ever diminish your shine. I'm going to share something with you all that my daddy shared with me a long time ago, because, you know, sisters, we're strong. We always have to work twice as hard. That's never going to change. It is what it is. But once you learn, as my daddy would say, because I'm a Leo, and when them claws come out, oh my goodness. My daddy taught me, he said, learn to attack intelligently. Sometimes you have to just lay in the cut. You can't go like a bull into even if you know you're right, that you have to just realize your strength as a Black woman intimidates others. And I'm not saying that you've always got to make others feel comfortable, but just learn to attack intelligently, learn to read the room, learn to know who's going to get you and who's not, and learn not to focus on those who don't get you. That was something that I had to learn in my career, because I used to always try to please those who didn't get me. Well, first of all, they were never going to be there for me anyway, because they were haters. So what I've learned in life also, through trial and a lot of errors, is to make my haters my congratulators.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to tweet that.
But it's tough because you know the natural instinct is that you want to go, how come they don't like me? You're just gonna have some people that are just that they're haters, you know what I mean? But if you stay focused and you keep going forward and you keep doing good things, and even when you see them, speak, say hello, but keep it moving, you know, and just focus on those who do get you, because those who do get you, those are the people you should focus on to go forward into different chapters of life. You know, life is all about chapters. You can only do one thing for a certain time. You know, back in the days, our parents were taught, you don't do one job, you sign up, you do that job till you retire. And then, you know, that's that. But now you have so many options. You can multitask. You can be a wonderful mother. You can be a wonderful wife. You can be a good businesswoman, and people will support that. So take advantage of that. Because we've just got opportunities now like, you know, we've never had before.
I agree. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna redirect the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
Just given that we are in the middle of a global pandemic that's been affecting people, some more than others, whether it's financially, whether you've contracted the virus, whether a family member or a friend that has altered your life. So we read that you were recently diagnosed with COVID-19. Of course, I hope all is well. But I want to know, how did you keep your spirits up? Because there's so much panic, there's so much fear, on top of being Black in America, on top of being a Black woman in America. Now we have a public health crisis that you were personally affected by. So if you don't mind, I guess getting.
Oh, we're gonna clear the air on this one for sure. Because see, I want that same energy that was put out there when I had a false positive COVID result. Yes. See, they didn't report that as big as what they did. So let me tell the story, and I have no problem telling the story, because listen, if I had COVID, I would have done what I needed to do. I just moved into a beautiful new home. I've been working very hard. So if I had to quarantine in my new home, I would have been okay. But I was working with a production company. I had literally just did a COVID test 4 days before they asked me to do this. And this is why you got to watch how people handle business when you're working with them. They put the horse before the cart. They made the announcement that Biblica Fox was hosting an Emmy Award show. It was one of the first ones that was going to be back. This, that, and the third. They were all excited. Then they hit me and they go, "Oh my gosh, you got to do a COVID test." And I said, "Oh, well, here you go. I just did. I'm working on a Christmas movie right now. Here are my negative COVID results." "Nope, we got to have our own. We got to have our own." "It's not a problem. I'm good." They sent a COVID test, which it took them 3 days to send it later, by FedEx to all of everyone that's listening right now. Never, ever let someone send you a COVID test by FedEx, by mail. Always get your COVID test done professionally. Thank God the people that I was working on, my team with my movie, my Christmas movie, I had just worked with them the day before. And I had to have the courage that when that positive one, that false positive, and because I'm not going to claim it, came, I had to call them. I was just working on a production. So they now have to shut down the production, retest everyone, because I literally had just left the set the day before. But thank God I had the courage to call them and say, "Hey, I got this thing." They're like, "Wait, we just worked with you yesterday. We're going to send a nurse," because it's happened to a couple other productions that people are getting false positives. Do you know how many millions of people, we never saw this pandemic coming, that now everyone's doing these tests and doing this, that, and the third, and there's a lot of false positive. There's people that are standing in line and left because the line was so long, but they had signed up and was given a positive result and didn't even take the test. So that's why I say to everyone out there, because those 2 to 3 days that I had to wait to get back another negative was awful. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But in the meantime, the production, I almost felt like I was being used, to be very honest with you. I asked them, "Can I please get a second test result?" I had no symptoms. There was something wrong with me. And they said, "Nope." They wanted me to do a video, and this, that, and the third. And I said, "Absolutely not. You will not forever have Biblica Fox on video saying, see, this making choices. You got to watch when people are trying to put you in a box to make you look bad for them to get publicity." So you all didn't get as much publicity. I didn't get as much publicity for when the negative test came back for when the positive. Girl, when they did that announcement that day, I said, "Here go my phone." I counted it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That phone blew up for 2 days. And guess who answered every person's text? I did. I said, "Please wait. Please have patience. I am fine. And I know that God has got me, and this test result is going to come back negative." And it did. So I'm okay. But COVID is real. And to place it, people that are not taking COVID seriously, please, y'all, wear your mask. Wash your hands. If you get a COVID test, please get it done professionally.
So they were essentially almost trying to treat you like you were like a COVID poster child.
Yes, but I now have become the COVID poster child for false positives, and I'll wear that hat. I don't have a problem with that. If it is to educate my community, because I'm gonna tell you something, how I honestly feel. I honestly feel like the moment that they announced that COVID affected brown and Black people, that's when everybody else was like, "Oh, we good. You know, that's on them. We ain't got to do this, that, and the third." Well, we have to, because it does affect our communities, but we have to pay attention to the narrative that they're trying to push on others about us. And that's why we have to make sure that we continue to stay safe until there is a cure or a vaccine that comes up. Because listen, once they do get this vaccine that is rushed, do you know that they're going to have to send this vaccine out to 300 million Americans? And then you're supposed to have to do the COVID test twice. Where are they going to get 600 million of these vaccinations for everyone in America for it to be fair? Are they only going to give it to people that are rich? Watch, pay attention, y'all. Pay attention, because I'm telling you, this narrative that's being pushed on us ain't no joke, because they was ready to just put basically a scarlet letter on my chest. But like I said, if I was sick, hey, I would have been, hey, y'all, hey, got me. You know, I've always been a person that loves to live in truth.
While you were waiting for those results, for the second results that came up to be correct, were you being like alienated by anybody? Was anyone treating you any differently? Besides them trying to heighten the publicity on you, did you notice that the people around you started acting strange?
No, I was in my house by myself, you know, but I did have a couple of them naysayers that was like, you know, trying to, oh man, you know, I saw you like 2 weeks ago, B. Oh man, I got to go get my test, you know, this, that, and the third. But guess what? I saw them. And I remembered each and every single one of them that thought that they could take that opportunity to steal my shine, to steal my joy. Because before then, everybody wanted to come over to my new house and check out the new house. They ain't been back since. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. And now, you know what? All they can tell you is because I'm still working. I'm going to produce another movie next week. And did other things, but everything now between every test, every production, I get a COVID test. And so I've had 3 this week. So I'm good.
Oh, wow.
Hey, and let me tell y'all something else too. Don't be doing that COVID test if they go up and try to tickle your brain with that Q-tip. Don't be doing it. Don't be doing that. There's other things y'all can do, because see, we don't know tickling your brain a couple times a week with that Q-tip. You know, what's that? I said, no, we're going to do saliva. I got a whole bunch of stuff up in here, and, you know, we're going to be good. And that's how I prefer it. I suggest to everyone, please do your test orally. We do not know what that invasive Q-tip up toward the brain does. So that's how I feel about that.
Okay, everybody, PSA.
I told you I'm not the new spokeswoman.
You know, we live in a world right now where people look at us and we're like constantly undervalued and treated like less than. It's almost enough to kind of give up and settle with the fact that, okay, maybe this is as good as life is gonna get. What do you do, or what would you say to encourage young Black people, specifically women, in that there's more to life than this, that we're impactful, that you can be hopeful?
Never settle. Never settle. You know, I mean, I had throughout my career and getting to where I am now, that I'm a producer and actress, a talk show host, doing well for myself, a good businesswoman, an entrepreneur, philanthropist. I give back. I sponsor the WNBA LA Sparks. Never settle. Always look for opportunities for yourself, but do your homework. And when I say this, like my hair collection, people didn't get that vision at first because they didn't know that we had did our homework and found out how much African-American women spend on it. And when we first launched, I got teased. I didn't settle. I went back to the drawing board. I said, what works and what doesn't work? And then I also looked at others who were successful, and I let them inspire me. I looked at Puffy. I looked at Jennifer Lopez. I looked at Beyonce. I said, what are they doing for their brand to continue to grow and continue to flourish? They found out what works for them. And so they never settled, and they just went back to the drawing board. And I try to tell, especially generation now, do the work. I know that you guys are so used to everything being Insta swipe, Insta fame, and everything. If you really want to have a career does not happen overnight. A career is built, and you're going to go through some setbacks, and you're going to go through some disappointments, but it's part of the journey. So never settle. Keep going back to the drawing board. And if you find out that you run into those who are takers, who are not helping the brand to grow, they must go. Bottom line.
So kind of to piggyback off of that, how do you know when you're not necessarily just making a new business, but anything you do, if you are just, putting in your time that you need to put in to get to where you need to go, or if you are wasting your time? Because sometimes the direction that you're going may need to be swayed a bit.
Yes.
So how could you tell the difference? I feel like that's another tightrope to walk on.
Absolutely, by being honest with yourself. Is this working or is it not? You know, getting someone that's on your team, that's a good person, that's with business, that's going to watch those numbers, that's going to watch, you know, the money. Is the money coming in? Is the money going out? Are we putting out more than we're coming in? Maybe we need to scale back. Dealing with truth and honesty and watching. Oprah Winfrey said something years ago. She said, I watch every single check that is signed and every single dime that's going out the door. You have to watch. Me, I still sign. I took that. I still sign all my checks. I make sure that I know what's going on. Sometimes I get a little bit behind, but I try to make sure that I pay attention and that I'm very honest with myself, what works and what doesn't work. And it's not being like cutthroat or being mean, because I think as women, sometimes we're so used to making sure that everybody's okay, that when it comes to business, we got to get a little bit tougher. We got to get a little bit tougher. And that's not turning into being, and excuse my French, a bitch. It's just being honesty and working with clarity. What's working and what's not working. And if you see a person that's on the team that's not pulling their weight, that's not adding to the team, as I said, they'll have to go, or you have to sit down and you have to put demands on them. Is this something that you want to do? Are you happy being here? If you're not happy with being the team, or what future do you see for the team? You got to have vision boards. Vision boards. What are our plan for the next 6 months to the next year? If this doesn't happen in the next 6 months to the year, what is plan B going to be?
Oh, that's smart. So before I hand off the questions to the audience, I do have one more question. When I was introducing you, I did mention that Set It Off was one of my favorites, so I had to ask. I watch that movie like every week. It's a big reason I love it so much is because of how relatable it is. I think more often than not, Black women have to go to extraordinary measures to survive and be happy. And I think everyone has a little bit of Frankie in them. Maybe from, we have to, come on, don't we? Everybody has some Frankie in them. Yeah. Because maybe we were wronged by an employer, or maybe we're just in unfortunate situations with not the best circumstances, right?
Right.
But when you played her, I felt all that anger, all that hurt, all that pain. So I want to know, how did you get yourself mentally prepared to play such a riveting and fiery character?
So I don't know if you all have heard this story, but Will Smith was my coach.
Oh, really? We
were doing Independence Day together, and I got the opportunity to audition. And originally they wanted me to be either TT or Frankie, because at the time, Frankie was going to be Rosie Perez. And I didn't know that. They just said, you know, you're gonna have to audition for both, you're gonna have to earn it. And we were doing Independence Day. And so I told Will, I was like, he's like, you're Frankie, man, you Frankie. I don't even want to coach you for TT. You're Frankie to me. So in my dressing room, he coached me on Frankie, and he really supported me. So, you know, I know when the gentleman did the introduction, he was talking about how as Black men that, you know, we've got to support each other and we've got to be there for our women. That role, which absolutely changed my life, I had the most amazing African-American man behind me, and that was Will Smith. And he made sure that I went in there. He sat in my dressing room. He coached me on my lines. He was like, yo, go in there, you know, like, take it. So he's like, you got it in you. So I went in there and I did the audition, and I auditioned for Frankie and for TT. But the director, F. Gary Gray, when I finished, walked out, which normally the directors do not do. And he walked into the hallway with me and he said, yo, you nailed that. You killed that. But Frankie, but I got to keep it real with you. Rosie Perez, the role is out to her. And I wanted to go, what you have me audition for that for? But he was like, we're hoping, we don't think she wants to do it. And I really see 4 African-American women. And, you know, Rosie got sold, don't get me wrong, but she's still Puerto Rican. He wanted 4 African-American women really from the hood to show that their backs got pushed against the wall. And that was the reason why they decided to rob banks. Frankie and Shantae from Two Can Play That Game, throughout my career, are the closest to my real personality, to be very honest with you. I'm a hardworking woman, who, especially early in my career, I was like, I'm gonna make it. I left Indianapolis, Indiana when I was 17 years old, 1 month after I graduated after high school, for a reason. And I've been able to live out my dreams beyond my wildest expectations. And so Frankie, for me, like Frankie was like, she had been wronged, and she was like, yo, let's go get this. She wanted revenge. And I really feel like throughout my career that I've really had to, keep busting through glass ceilings, keep getting knocked down, figuring out a way how to not feel sorry for myself and pick myself up and say, yo, Angie Fox from 38th and Emerson, you can do this. Those that hate on you, they didn't make you, don't you let them break you. And so Frankie was really, like me. And then Shantae was fun. Go get it, go Shantae, work it out.
Oh man, thank you for that. Frankie, that's my girl, man.
Okay.
Girl.
Even now when I look at Frankie, I'm like, wow, Frankie was lit,
Man, that's my girl.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you for answering my question. The audience has some questions. I already have some coming in. So the first one is from Jordan Pierre. He's a sophomore, undeclared in Newhouse. And he says, one question I have for Vivica tonight is, as women in a male-dominated indirectly, how do you ensure that your voice was heard and that people understood that even as a woman, I'm just as capable of not, or if not more than my other counterparts?
I started doing my own projects. I had to literally go back to the drawing board, because you have to realize it's like I became like almost like an overnight sensation. My first fine films that came out was Off the Chain, Soul Food, Two Can Play That Game, Set It Off, Independence Day. But then I got to a place in my career where it's like I couldn't play the young hot chick anymore. So now, what do? Everybody was so fascinated with, the love life and the magazine headlines and everything that they forgot I'm an actress. And so what I had to do is that I went back to the drawing board and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go do theater. I'm going to go do theater. And in theater, I'm going to get my heart break. I'm going to look ugly on stage. And so I went and I did theater. And people was like, oh my God, I forgot how good of an actress you were. So I had to not be afraid to start over and to rebuild and go back to the drawing board and say, hey, you're going to get less money. You're going to go sleep on a bus. You're going to do 8 shows a week and you're going to do it. And starting over now has me here. It didn't happen overnight. Trust me. I slept at the back of the bus, on the road, doing 8 shows a week, making money that I didn't have, having to learn to also be a good businesswoman. I also am really good in real estate, which I don't really share with a lot of people. I'm on like my 6th home that I've sold. Wow. I know how to flip houses. I sold my house during the pandemic, and now I'm living in a bigger home with a great view. So I always, I hustle. I don't know if people really realize that about me, but I'm a really good businesswoman. I don't just rely on my looks. So sorry. I know I got a little long-winded with that answer, but
oh no, I love it. Shout out to you. And for those who are here, I didn't mention, in order to ask a question, please DM the Sigma's page. So it's PBSTHETA_XI. If you guys need me to repeat that, just let me know. We do have another question from the same person, just a little follow-up.
Oh, okay, they're interested.
Very. And Jordan wants to know, have you experienced any forms of racism or got offered a position but turned it down because of any stereotypes attached to the role?
That's a tough question for me to answer. Have I ever experienced racism? Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've been on sets when it's like, she can't look too pretty. And it's like, why can't I look fine? You know what I mean? Oh, don't put her in, you do experience that. I mean, I've experienced it. Absolutely. but I paid attention and said, I'm not gonna let this moment stop me from shining. I'm gonna look at this production, know that this is how this production is. I'm gonna get my coins and then I'm gonna move on, and I'm not gonna work with them again. I almost felt that with the whole COVID thing, to be very honest with you. I felt like, wow, let's use the Black girl to get as much exposure as what we possibly can. We're going to take her and throw her under the bus, and we're not going to care because her value is nothing.
Wow.
And that hurt. And that was when I really had to focus on my faith and my family. My family was there 100%. They was like, how you feeling? And I'll never forget being in my front room of my new house, and my brother and my sister said, you are not claiming this. They honestly asked me, how do you feel? I said, I'm fine. They said, then we're going to pray about this. And we were all on the phone together, and we prayed, and we said, we're going to rebuke this. And they were the first people that, when I got back my negative results, that I called. And that sucked to go through. So that racism, yeah, I did experience that I felt, but I was like, you know what, we're going to take this moment. And I publicly could have did a whole campaign and this, that, and the third, and went against that production company. But I may need them to hire me again one day. I may need for them to finance one of my movies or to produce one of my television shows. So I had to attack that intelligently. So what we did is we released a statement that basically just said, we understood that production had to do what they had to do, but this is the truth. So, once again, I could have went bananas and been the angry Black woman in the room, but we attacked it intelligently, but it was tough.
That sounds tough. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So we have Amaris. She's a senior broadcast and digital journalism major here at Syracuse. And she wants to know, what was your hardest role that you ever had to play?
Woo, child. Frankie was tough. And then wait a minute, it's a tie. Well, oh, dang, that's tough. Because Frankie was tough. Because Frankie, no one knew that I had street cred. Everybody's like, oh, that's the pretty model chick. And Frankie, Frankie had to, I was with Latifah and Jada. And so that was tough. And then Elizabeth from Why Do Fools Fall in Love, because I was doing a sitcom at the time. And we had to go from 19 up to 60. So I had to do prosthetics, and I was doing a television show and doing the movie at the same time. So that was tough. And Kill Bill.
Wow.
So them is my top three. Because, Chad, I thought we was training for the Olympics. That's all we did was work out like 8 hours a day. I was like, Quentin Tarantino, if you stretch me one more time, I'm gonna kill you. But baby, when I saw how that body looked on that screen and that fight scene, it made it worth it.
So those are your top two. Let me ask you this. What about Frankie was so hard? And then what about the other character was that like that, besides the working out?
Why was Frankie so hard? Because I had to get not intimidated by Queen Latifah and Jada.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, Latifah herself, you know what I mean? And there was a couple of scenes where we had to go at it. And Latifah at the time was doing Living Single and our show, so she was tired. And we had a lot of emotional scenes, and it was just tough. And no one had ever seen me that way. I was just always kind of like the pretty girl, you know what I mean? And for me to get that street cred and, be who I really was, but I started off as a model. So everyone just saw me as good looking, and they didn't know that I could get raw and that I could bring that. And so it was tough.
We have an anonymous question too. Someone asked, who was your favorite person you ever worked with?
Ooh. Did just one?
I guess maybe we can say people.
Okay. So my all-time favorite is Will Smith. when you work with Will, it's working with the best. From the moment you step on stage, the moment you get cast, he is just awesome. I mean, there's just no other way that I can say he's like, to watch him go from the first Prince of Bel-Air, which I played the date from hell, Jazzy Jeff's sister, to becoming this mega star. I mean, and for us to basically start the summer popcorn blockbuster films with Independence Day. 20 years ago, we made $800 million worldwide, and people didn't realize that an African-American man, a woman, and a Jewish man saved, the planet. And to just see him now go where he is amazing. Working with F. Gary Gray, the director for Set It Off, who took no excuses from four girls that took a movie that people thought was going to be a joke with Set It Off and make it a cult classic, was amazing. To work with Quentin Tarantino, who got on my nerves a whole bunch of days, but turned me into an action star, was amazing. And then I have to, my last and not least was working with Latifah, Jada, and Kimberly on Set It Off, that became a cult classic. I mean, I've been so blessed to work with some of the most amazing actors and directors. And I hope to work with more. I got more to give and hopefully direct in the future.
We have another anonymous question.
That's cool. I'm here. Let's talk. I ain't going nowhere.
Man, I hear that.
6 o'clock, then I got to do a thing for the Democrat Party for us to keep making sure everybody go vote.
Oh,
everybody can vote. Y'all, I'm looking at y'all. Yes.
Is everyone registered? Everyone registered? All right.
Yes. Oh, I did it. I got my little sticker. It's somewhere around here. I did it. Absolutely. And I've been campaigning with Biden and Kamala.
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah.
Biden's actually an alum from SU.
I'm sorry?
Biden's actually an alum from SU. He went to our law school.
Oh, wow. Real talk? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's an orange right there.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I got on my school colors. I was trying to do orange and blue, but I was like, should I do blue nails? No. Okay.
So tell me this. So the anonymous question is, you were always the it girl. You were always the pretty girl, but it was no secret you can act. But even before then, how did you get people to take you seriously, to give you that chance so that you can get these star-studded roles?
By doing the work. I mean, literally by doing the work. I would go into auditions. People would see me show up for auditions and be like, oh my God, here comes Biblica. I hired an acting coach. I invested in myself. I would come into the audition so ready. I knew my lines. I had my hair hooked up. I had the outfit. I left no room that this part should be mine. I used to be an athlete, and my dad was an athlete. I played basketball, volleyball, track, and I was a cheerleader. So I always knew that if you wanted to get a starting position and you wanted to win a role, you had to leave no room for anyone to doubt that you could do the part. So I always tell people, invest in yourself, do the work. You can go for like actors or singers. You can go to your library and study acting, take your lessons, do the work, and you will be rewarded. But do the work. Don't rely upon your looks or body parts.
Oh, I love that. So I'm not sure if anyone here has any last minute questions, because that's it for our social media ones.
Y'all can ask me. You just got that joke down there, didn't you, huh? Too funny.
I guess I do have a question. I mean, I try to be a person that doesn't really have too many regrets or things that I wish I had done and so on and so forth. But when you think about your career, do you have any regrets, or do you have any things that you wish you, like if you could give yourself advice when you were 20 or when you were 25, what would that advice be?
To have patience.
Yeah.
To have patience and keep your private life as private as possible.
I love it.
Yeah, keep your private life, to yourself, guard your reputation. Watch your circle, watch who you allow to come into your world, especially for, when you start achieving success. You got to know who's there for you and who's just a taker. Anybody that once you start achieving success, that all of a sudden it's like, we done got paid and we making money, you need to kick them to the curb real quick. Because you want people that come in and say, okay, we did this. Now, what are we going to do in 5 years? So that we build the brand, so that the brand is so strong. And one thing I just want to say, before we leave out, y'all, we got to realize it's like, we got to look out for Generation Next. It can't just be about you. We got to leave something for these babies. We got to leave good marks for them. We can't just be takers from our communities and not care and not give back and not look out for them. That's the one thing that I always say, look out for others. And that's something that my mama instilled in me. My mother raised me in church. We grew up across the street from the church. So I think that's why now I'm able to go into different chapters, because my mama, when I go home, she keeps it real with me. I still got to cook, take out the garbage and do stuff like that. But she's, very proud of me. But she always says to make sure that you give back and do for others.
Right on. Thank you for answering that
You're
question.
welcome.
Okay, we have another question though. So this
Oh,
question
okay.
Oh, you do?
is from Sean Robinson, and he
Hey,
asks,
Sean.
in the midst of a pandemic, how do you stay focused and motivated?
Well, I will keep it real with y'all. I have very expensive habits, and I am not going to let this pandemic keep me from getting my hustle on. So we just figured it out. We figured out how to go back to the drawing board. I have a new show out now, Cocktails with Queens, which I can do from my home. I have a podcast show out, Hustling with Biblica Fox, that I can do from my home. I refuse to sit here and get Corona fluffy. I was like, look, I'll go get in that pool in that backyard. You go work out, because I ain't gonna lie. When Corona first went down, y'all, I was tearing up some McDonald's because I cook. I order fantastically. So I went past the mirror one time and went, oh my goodness, watch out. So I made sure I started working out again and taking care of myself. And I made that phone start ringing. I did. I made that phone start ringing. I watched who was working, who was not working, and I did not feel sorry for myself or let this pandemic cripple my career. Absolutely not.
Oh man, thank you so much for that.
You're
And
so welcome.
everyone give a nice virtual applause for Miss Biblica A. Fox.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. I can say I miss the days of traveling, that I wish I could see you guys all in person and we could take pictures and, all that good stuff. But we will get through this. We will get through
nonetheless,
this.
yeah. Nonetheless, we're super grateful.
Yeah. So, just stay focused, stay positive. And like I said to everyone out there, wear your mask, wash your hands, and be safe and know that God has got us.
Okay. And with that being said, can we please have another round of applause for the amazingly talented Miss Biblica A. Fox, please?
Thank you.
With that wraps up our Fall 2020 Sigma Week. Thank you all for coming out. And please, everyone, have a safe night and stay blessed.
And vote.
Please vote.
Vote. Goodbye, darlings.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, darlings. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Hi, Debbie.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much. Am I muted?
For a few and just talk to Butch for a couple minutes. You're good.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Butch, you got to stop recording now. You're still recording.
Because we're done. Fuck.
Yo, this. Yo.